What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I am J-Lag, and I'm here with
N-Bea.
And today we're doing a
first ever Bates Motel podcast.
Why did it take us so long?
I don't know why it took us this long to watch the show, because it is actually amazing.
Yeah.
So we're going to do this podcast, and we're not going to go through obviously the entire 4 or 5 seasons at this point. But we want to sort of start off the 5th season together now that we've caught up to the 5th, and go through our top 5 moments all time of the entire series. And then we're going to start watching it together. Yeah.
And then we'll do probably episodic, or we might try to
let us know what you guys want us to do. Do you guys want us to break down each episode from season 5? Do you want us to lump episodes together, or just kind of wait till the end and see what the hell goes down?
Yeah, because as we know, season 5 is the series finale.
That's the final season.
So yeah, we were really ramping up, and yeah, like N-Bea mentioned, I was personally late to the game because I don't know,
So I don't know who told. We were somewhere one day and someone was like, "You guys gotta watch Bates Motel."
I've been hearing it for a while, from random people. People have been telling me for years now at this point, being like, "You gotta get into it. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good." I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm not really down for this kind of show. And then it kind of started blowing up on Netflix, real hard. So,
and also the fact that you can download offline episodes now made my life Netflix so much easier. So we started at the same time.
Yeah.
I ended up finishing.
Murdered it.
I murdered it, literally. Got to end of season 4, and I think J-Lag had to he had another week, a good week in between, and I was like, "Can you please hurry up? This is crazy."
Yeah, because it gets crazy by season 4
is off the charts. So now we are both finished.
Yep.
We got to the end of season 4. Now we're waiting. I cheated. I cheated just a touch.
Okay.
I watched season 5 a little bit, but we're not going to get into season 5 at all today. We're just going to talk season 4 and
season 1 through 4, top moments leading up to this final season. We haven't seen each other's moments. So
we could have duplicates, but that's okay. We can each say our own why we ranked it a certain number, and what about that scene you love the most.
So let's start with you, N-Bea.
My number 5?
Your number 5. We're counting it down.
So I think the hardest part I had, my number 1 I knew right away, but every other number, I didn't know how to rank it.
How to rank them,
So I was stuck with this, but number 5, I wrote down Sheriff Romero, and specifically the scene that he has with Norma. I think it is season 4, and at that point Norman is in the hospital, in the asylum, and Norma's trying basically to get rid of Romero. She's like, "I'm fucked up, you're never gonna love me, this is all just a sham, I'm crazy." And she's like, "I'm gonna leave," or something, and he was like, "Cool." He's like, "I'm gonna pack my bags with you, I'm with you to the end." And I was in a show that is so depressing and so sad and so bleak, there's no hope, especially for her. In that moment I was like, "Girl, you just found your light."
He is your man.
He's so cute. And especially just seeing, I just put Sheriff Romero because literally just seeing where he started in the first season and the second season, he was so cold to her and "What do you want? What? I got no time for you." He was so
very
brushing her off,
business minded,
and then he started changing, and just to see them in this moment together, it was beautiful. I was so happy. I started to cry. That's just because amazing. Someone like her who literally had no hope, and this dark cloud is now away from her, and she's seeing how her life can be.
So let's talk about Alex Romero, because that is my top 5 moment too.
Number 5?
It is.
Oh wow.
It's my last. It's my top moment, and it's when
was it that scene, or was it?
Yeah, it's when. So, from what I remember, it's when Norma has to tell Alex that
the brother
the uncle
really
brother
sad.
Caleb. That Caleb is Dylan's son, or that Caleb is
Dylan's father.
Dylan's father,
essentially she slept with her brother.
So she has to tell Alex this, and at this point he's moved in, and she was like, "All right, well, go pack your bags, I've told you what I need to say, go pack your bags."
So that's what started it.
And then he was like, "Where are we going?" And I was like, "Bah!" It was so amazing cute, to see his side of it too, because at this point in time you are kind of expecting, like, that's a lot to hear.
Yeah.
For anybody to hear.
And it's almost like she checked out herself.
Yeah.
Like she stopped loving herself.
Yeah.
Through that.
For that
and
point,
so
she
the question
gave up.
is like,
She
how
was
does
like,
that next
care.
man like love me?
Exactly.
And it was beautiful. It
was
really
amazing.
was.
It was so great to see it. And like you said, like from season 1 to 4, you see this, like, I think it's like this full love story.
Did you always suspect it?
I kind of always booked it a little bit. I always felt like they had like moments together.
Yeah, they had moments.
And I had to wonder. I always wondered why they were always. He kept coming back to her.
Yeah. He kept coming to the scene of the crime. like either
I
this guy is gonna get arrested,
but
or like he's gonna dip, or he's gonna find some next girl.
Like that's
but
the
he
thing
never
too.
did.
I wrote down that like he at that point in time, by the time that she's telling him the story, I was looking at his face, like him like kind of reacting to the whole like Caleb situation, and in a way I was kind of looking at him and I was like, this man already killed 2 people for you at this point.
He did the work.
He did work. He killed someone for her in the beginning, like in season 1, with the guy at the dock.
I want to just make it clear here. I don't think he did everything for her per se.
Yeah,
I also feel
that's
like
true.
He was very like, this is my town and I got this shit under control.
But
in that I felt like he found her too.
In a way, yeah, exactly. And like even the second guy killing Bob Paris, that was purely to protect her.
That was for sure.
That was 100% to protect her.
Yeah, that was.
He could have
at that
dipped
point, I think
like,
he was like in love with her at that point.
Yeah,
like I think he knew it too.
So, like at that point in time, and I don't even think that she's aware of it.
Aware of what?
Even by the end of it, even by the end of season 4, she's not even aware that he did all that for her. Like the whole Bob Paris, like she didn't know that he killed him.
Because then he tells her after, I think, right?
I think he's like, yeah, I have money for you.
Yeah. She's like, where did you get it from? He's like, Bob Harris.
And then
the night that he was leaving, she's like, don't tell me you killed him. He's like, yeah, girl.
Is that what she said?
Because she questions it. She's like, how do you have that much money?
He admits it eventually.
And then he says it to her and she's like, oh my God.
She's like, yes. Low key. So yeah, that's definitely one of my top moments for sure. So let's go to your next one.
Before we skip, just really quickly, do you think it's ironic that like her man killed for her and her son sort of kills for her?
Norman does not kill for her though.
But in a weird way, he is like he's killing
based on
as her. Yeah.
He's killing as her.
No, but in his mind, she's telling like, if you love me, go kill this person. Like, right? I think in the beginning it was like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like, but
yeah, you're right. He's her.
He's her. And it's a version of her. It's the heightened, controlling version that he hears in his head that says, you know that you're doing this wrong. You need to go kill that person now. Like that's what happens with all the people that he ends up killing. It's like this persona that she's crazy. We know by the end.
And also maybe that shows you, to like that, like she attracts these type of people.
Yeah.
Like obviously like Romero's like fuck too. He's not like innocent, you know?
Crazy,
like obviously she's drawn to his crazy and he's drawn to her crazy.
Yeah.
Like Romero and Norma.
Right.
Like there's that like crazy bond that they have.
They work together for that reason. Yeah. They've been like,
because like what are the chances her man is like killing people too? Like, even though he's killing for like a good thing kind of.
Yeah.
He's still killing people. Like he's still killing people.
And I think we also talked about that reason why. I think it's just because of the fact that like he's kind of got mommy issues himself. You know, like the fact that his mom, I guess, was not really in the picture. We know that his dad was a drug dealer. So like he cares about his mom and he understands the struggle of like a single mom going through it.
There was a moment, I won't spoil it, but there's a moment in the upcoming that you will see and it's such a quick shot. But I understood everything.
Oh, okay. It's
really beautiful.
Okay, let's go to your next 4. Number 4.
My number 4 was for me Norman being held captive, because for me I felt like that really set him off. Held captive. Remember when they put him in that like locker for like a few days and he was like sitting in the dark and like there was like cockroaches on him. For me that was like, I always wondered like, when is Norman's turning point? Right. Like he's had all this shit and he's weird.
So that's the final like, that's the season finale of season 1 is when that happens. What? Right? The murder, like
him being held captive.
Him being held
no,
captive.
I think it's like later on. I think it's like season 2, maybe even
it's season
3.
2.
Maybe it's season 3 because Romero and Dylan come and get him after.
It's definitely not season 3 because we know what happens in season 3. Season 3 is when he gets he does something crazy.
Okay, whatever. Yeah.
But anyway,
so wherever it is, I'm like, when is that turning point where like he's gonna like really, what's gonna set him off? Yeah. And I honestly feel like in that moment he like lost his shit. Yeah. He lost his shit, and anyone would, right? Yeah. Like I felt like it was like that scene in Kill Bill when she gets buried alive. Like I felt it, the anxiety of like being trapped like that.
Yeah.
And then all those visions came to him. Yeah. And I think that's when he realized that he killed.
It unlocked.
He kills Thing, right?
He killed the
teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Watson.
For me, that was a really huge moment because like that was the first time too where I was like, I felt bad for him too because I was like, damn, like he's going through this fucked up shit.
Yeah,
he's going through a lot
for sure.
Like he was like stuck in there for like a few days. So
yeah,
obviously it doesn't justify what happens afterwards, but like for me, it was just a really like transformational like moment in his character, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So just to match your 4, I'm going to go with something that happened in season 3, the season finale of season 3. A lot of my tops are in that particular finale. But I'm going to jump to season 3, episode 10. And it's similar to the Bob Harris story, but it's because she's afraid that what the psychiatrist, that other like full psychiatrist found out about how they got the insurance money and how Norman was the one who killed the dad. So she tells Alex and she was like, so essentially she says, it's my fault. I tried to hide it, you know, but it's coming out now and it's just too much to shove away. I'm not going to lie. I'm so scared. He's my son and he's broken. So like that whole scene, you watch her. And I think it's the very first time in the show that you see Norma really losing her grip on Norman and
admitting it
to somebody else and realizing like I can't do this by myself.
Who is she saying this to?
She's talking to Alex about this.
Okay.
She's like, I don't know what to do, and this is after he's told DEA already. So he's like, it's already set in motion. I'm really sorry that I'm doing this to you, but it's also to catch Bob Harris. And she's like, you know what? I can't do anything about it. I'm so fed up. She's like, at that point in time, she was so exasperated. She's had to cover up all these lies for Norman all this time. Yeah. And she's realizing now, she's like, this kid is fucked up. He's really fucked up. And I'm really scared of what he is and like what I can do. I can't control him anymore. And I think that moment to me was extremely strong because, you know, as a mother who really does, you know, you notice these little things as you grow, you know, we only see them in maybe like a span of 2-3 years, maybe max. In season 1 to 4, but you have to understand that she's like seen him from like from a baby to like now, and who knows how many moments she's had to deal with that too. She sees this kid who's awkward and she's always trying to push him, but she's also desperate for his attention. So there's this constant push and pull with this kid who is deeply psychotic too. He has moments of psychosis. So it's just terrifying to see, or it's sad to see her be in such a broken place where she's like, I can't do anything as a mother. I love this kid and I can't do anything.
I think in the end of it all is that like the saddest part is that you know how the story's going to end. If you watch the movie, you sort of know which characters are going to make it to the end. So, you know, this whole time you're waiting for her to get to that realization. You're like, Norma, please get there. Your son is like, he's crazy. Yeah. Please get there. She gets there, but deep down inside of me, I'm like, but I know what's gonna happen to her. Right. Like she's gonna get there. She will admit it, but like he's gonna win in the end, and like it makes it all. It just makes it really. It makes
it more heartbreaking.
It makes it really sad
for sure, because like you're just like, oh, she couldn't have done anything anyway because he's gonna go.
You know, another thing, and I think people really talk about this too, is the other aspect of like, is she responsible? Yeah. Right. Like I think a part of her, I think a part of him is like, it's because of her, and it's the way that she raised him for sure. I'm sure like he was born in when she's getting raped by the husband, and they're holding hands, like he's under the bed and he's holding his mom's hand. Like that was like, this kid was born into trauma and born in this like really dark life, and she clung to else him. would he get out of it? Plus she's like sheltering him, plus she's just justifying all like what he's doing, like you know, like she just made it worse.
So to a degree you kind of
do you blame her?
Do you blame him for doing what he does? Either
I know, like, it's both of them, I feel like and that's what's so like
amazing,
I feel like
about their dynamic.
It's all of it is like they are so into each other. Literally, like he took it that way too. He's like he is his mom.
I am a part of her. She's a part of me. They're synchronous. It's let's go to your third moment in time.
My third moment goes to Bradley.
Oh yeah.
R.I.P.
Let's talk about
R.I.P.
that.
Bradley.
That's one of my tops as well. So let's
And
just talk about that together.
Not that it was the most shocking, because I honestly felt like she was gonna die, obviously. Of
course.
Since the first one.
So you're talking about season 3's season finale when Bradley comes back into the show. Back.
So I thought she would be dead way before that, because he had dreams of her like in the bathtub. I'm like, he'll kill her like that.
Like during the formal, but even.
She ends up dipping. She leaves like town, whatever. She comes back in season 3 for that finale, which was kind of weird the way they did it, because he just stumbles upon he just random. Rolls up and she's like there.
She's like, hey.
And then they decide to run away together. She's like, I'm leaving Norman, come with me. He's like, okay, cool. And then he kills her in the fucking car.
He fully loses it.
He glitches out, and he's like,
he turns into his mom.
And she's like, what are you doing? Like, you're a whore. And then like
she stops on the side of the road. He like chases around a tree and then bashes her head in.
Yeah, it was messed up.
It was really fucked up. Yeah. And he says the classic line for people who have seen the movie. He says, "Mother, what have you done?" Which is his big line in the movie as well. Like, it's the first thing that he says.
So weird.
So he and at this point in time, you're, I think, hearing it for the first time ever, like hearing that him say it out loud, "Mother, what have you done?" Really, you start to really understand, like, he literally,
dude, he like
broke
crazy.
It in half. He did not see. And then he's like, "Oh my god, now I gotta clean this shit up." Like, he seriously is so deluded that he cannot see himself killing that person. He had to physically, or not physically, but he had to mentally
did he say that when he killed her, or like
as soon as he finished?
Oh my god,
he finished, and like,
I couldn't watch that scene, and he was like,
"Mother, what have you done?" And I was like, "Oh my god!" And it was a huge throwback to the movie. And then the entire time he's like, he ends up putting the car into the water at the harbor, and before he closes the trunk, he's like, "I'm sorry, my mother did this to you." Like, he's fucking insane.
Is this, and maybe you guys can talk to this, like our listeners too, but was that really his first murder on screen? Because the Blair teacher one happens off screen, you don't really see him do it.
Yeah, you see it in flashbacks. But I think that's his first legit murder. Kill, and that's why I think it was kind of an
and it had to be to Bradley, right? Like, it had to be
with Bradley,
because he saw that from the beginning.
Yeah, and I think that's what we all kind of expected. I think as soon as we saw her being this like edgy character, this character who's like kind of sexually perversive for him, this like this female character, it was either going to be him or her or Emma. And at that point, like, oh my God, why would you do that to Emma?
Stay away from Emma. Stay away, freak.
So yeah, that's definitely one of my top moments. Is that whole turning point for me was like realizing that this man is completely disconnecting himself from his murders.
And they do really amazing, like, first of all, they do amazing odes to like the movie, but also really amazing like key points. That character arc is like switched, another switch. Like, it's like adding on to like the layers of like who he is, and the editing, and they give that time to it, and it was really beautifully done. Like, each of those moments was like, you feel it, like, you really do feel it. I was like, I was so grossed out.
Every moment that he becomes his mother is a very like very eerie thing to watch.
Yeah, it makes you
feel like off, because
creepy.
Because first you see Norma Bates, played by Vera Farmiga.
Yeah,
Farmiga, and she's talking as her mother, saying like, "You're a whore" to Bradley. But then the next minute, you're seeing Norman run after her around a tree and yelling at her, like, saying like, "You're a total bitch," and all these things. So like, you're seeing this woman, like, the way they edit it too is really cool.
That, and also I feel like the acting is beyond
on point.
Like, Freddie Highmore is killing it.
Yeah,
I was on Twitter yesterday and someone was writing how like they couldn't believe that this guy hasn't even been nominated. Like, he has never won an award for anything. Like, his
playing
acting
when he
becomes his mom. Like, I get goosebumps. I'm like, he's playing it like the way his like legs move and shit. Like, he's so weird, and it's done perfectly between Vera and like him. And I think that's what it adds to that whole scene and like what makes the show so amazing.
Right. And if I could take the next moment, only because it kind of leads into this situation, is when he's at the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist successfully unlocks the mother in Norman.
Oh my God.
So that's my next moment, and just because we're talking about it anyway.
Is that your number 2, or like?
I would say, I mean, you took one of my 3, I think, I guess. But yeah, I'll put this as my number 2. And it's
amazing.
Yeah,
it was
it's
an amazing
amazing
scene. Yeah,
because you're right. The mannerisms, the things that change in him,
like the voice, like
he's like hello,
everything. Yeah,
like he just changes. Like the way he picks up his tea and starts drinking his tea.
And I love how the therapist was like, "Do you realize that everything changes about you?
Yeah,
like, do you see yourself, bro?" He's like, "You're crazy."
Blacks out. Yeah,
and he's like, "Everything you're doing is different."
Right. And it was cool because when the psychiatrist unlocks that side of him, they don't use all the camera tricks that we saw with the Bradley scene. It's literally a pan around and it remains Norman. But instead of showing the mother, the actress.
I guess it's from the therapist's perspective,
it's
right?
literally showing him turn into her mannerism wise.
Yeah.
And not physically, but more mentally. And so it was just really cool to see. Scene. It was a very well done scene by the actor that plays him.
Freddie Highmore.
Freddie Highmore. Like, those are the moments that you're talking about.
That was an amazing moment.
The moments that you see him really turn into another person. Yeah. He's basically turning into another person.
And you're right. That was the first moment where it was raw. Yeah. Pure straight through Freddie. And
And it was a great opportunity to do it. I think it's the perfect time to do it because I think in that psychiatrist situation, I wanted to see them unlock it without any like mirrors or tricks. I wanted to see the raw moment and like how really fucked up he is. And I think they did the entire series with
I love how you're saying that he unlocked it because I think the therapist calls it too. Like, he's like, we made that progress and we like, it's a freaky thing to say like that you unlock that side of him.
So
that's
now
so
it can
weird.
be now and in a way we even said it 2 degrees too, like it's almost unlocked
it's
and
like
unleashed.
The devil, it's like the exorcism,
like
you're seeing that side.
And the fact that he doesn't continue with the treatments in white.
What I don't understand is that, someone that you legit saw him turn into a different person, how can you let him go? I'm sorry, that's stupid to me. Like, as a doctor, like, I don't know how you can legally do that. Like, you literally saw him turn into a different person.
But I think
he's crazy.
I think, and the problem, and see, here's the thing that kind of annoyed me too. In the next episode, he's like, "Oh yeah, true, you blacked out," and Norman's trying to understand like what had happened to him in that moment. And he was like, "How is she when I'm her?" And the psychiatrist, like a fucking idiot, is like, she's actually really charming. And I'm like, the last thing that she said to you was, "You can't let me unlock this moment because I'm gonna have to do something. Like, I'll have to hurt you if you do." Or
but also like try to understand the therapist is trying to like get Norman's trust. Right, he's trying to like swoon him, like to bring him in closer, to be like, yeah, you're cool, like you're very like very charming. I like you. Come tell me more. He wants to be on Norman's side for Norman can like open up more to him.
But the fact that she says like, "I'm gonna have to do anything in my power to stop you," like, I mean, dude, that's a red flag.
That's
like,
a
that
huge red flag.
That is
like a siren
to me.
Yeah, for sure.
So for me, I think we like N-Bea and I have talked about it offline how upsetting it was that they never really. I think they failed him.
So I think he's coming back. I think that guy's supposed to come back. Oh, okay. I haven't got there yet, but I saw something online that it said that the therapist came back.
I mean, I think regardless of what happens in the season 4 finale, to me that is a pure
100%
failure
100%,
on the mental health system,
sure.
At least in this show. Sure. And it just goes to show that like even if you have the most amount of work put into somebody, sometimes they just need that constant watch, that surveillance to make sure that things are okay.
And I'm really glad that the show decided to do that aspect, to show that whole.
I think they had to.
Because it's also like the whole time you're like, can someone admit this kid, please?
Yeah.
Like, can he go to a legit? Because in the beginning he did go to a therapist. Remember, like the mom took him to that one guy,
and
like
then
once.
She was like, I don't like this
that
guy.
was it. But this one was like legit. Like half the season, this kid's like away. Like, and the show definitely needed it for sure.
I think as a fan of the movie, that would be one of the most interesting
and
things
the timing of it.
Yeah.
The timing of where they placed that in the entire series.
Yeah, it's true.
Because if it did happen in the beginning, it wouldn't have been as like.
It would have been weird.
Because
then you're like, okay, then how does he become a psycho if he had treatment from the beginning?
At this point, he's like pretty. Does the Bradley thing happen? Like, oh yeah, it happens before that, right?
Yeah. So that was my top 2 moment. What's your top 2
My
moment?
top 2 moment goes to Dylan and Emma.
That's my top 1 moment.
Aww.
So I'm just gonna like break that down for me. Yeah.
So Dylan and Emma goes my top 2 just because you know me, like I like a good love story.
Love story.
Also just because I felt like in this entire season of season 4, heavy shit. Like it was really dark, really sad. You have Dylan and Emma on one side, and there's so much love, and they're like, I always loved Dylan as a character. Yeah. I loved Emma too, for sure. Like I like them like separately too. But with Dylan, like he was born out of like almost same circumstances as Norman. Like he was born not like in love, and he wasn't born in like a beautiful like life. Yeah. And how does he become this amazing person who wants to like be loved so much and like wants to give love and like knows the right and wrong of everything? It's true. So they could have made his amazing character, and they did spend time on him. And they did. They brought his dad back and whatever. But that moment, I don't know what scene it is exactly, like what episode, but he's explaining it to Norma. Yeah. Because she was like, Emma. And he was, yeah. And she goes, you guys are together. Like she already knew. Yeah. And he was like, one day we just saw each other. And it was so freaking cute. Because like that they were in the office, the motel office. Yeah. And like I think he just like looked at her, and like he looked at her differently. And he saw like how much she's struggling with like her like tank, and then that night she stepped over and like she was coughing, remember? Yeah. She was like, that night he like I think pushed on her chest. Changed everything. Like he saw like in all of that, he saw like how beautiful she is on the inside. It's just a beautiful thing that they were growing, and then like you saw this dark side on the other side of the show. Yeah. So they definitely like that like contrast was like even more.
The light in the show came in perfectly. Yes. And they were the light in the show, because like, I think it started getting very, very bleak, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to see these murders all the time. It's so taxing to see it. I know. And like you just want to root for these characters, and now we have two characters that you can root for.
And also I had constant fear. My anxiety was like skyrocketing. I'm like, Norman, do not touch them.
And still to this day.
Do not touch them. Yeah. Like, I mean, at the end of season 4 they dip, so
for now, yeah.
And they leave, right? Like the town. So they seem safe for now, which is like a good thing, but I also think their chemistry was amazing. I think as two actors, both of them, like there was something that I felt. You don't always feel that, right?
The actress, like, the actress
and
fantastic.
The actor, and they're like so I felt it. Very, very good, it was amazing. Characters.
And shout out to people who have CF. I think it was an amazing thing to have a main character who is as strong as Emma's character. Like, honestly, kill it. Like, she murdered this role.
She was so... I legit thought she was going to be dead in the first season. Same. And I'm so happy they
kept her. I thought she was going to be like...
his first kill or something.
Like the
by
Barb
accident.
Of this storyline. Like, she's going to be like that one loser girl at school who, he's going to kill her. He's going to kill by accident. Like, who knows? Like, it's going to be completely suspicious. Yeah. Or not suspicious. But... she carried through, amazing. And the fact that she like wanted to have love, and the fact that like she loved Norma and saw her as a mother figure because she didn't have like
that was really
cute. They gave her
and you
such
saw Norma differently too with her.
Yeah, for sure. She changes. Yeah. And like I think she
like all their moments together made me see the good Norma.
Her development, like Emma's development in the show was so subtle, but it was kind of attached to the main storyline. So you even saw her, like, even when you didn't see her, you knew that she was working in the motel, and you felt her isolation when they were going through some like crazy shit, Yeah. So like you understood, like, oh, she's like, well, I'm gonna give my 2 weeks notice. I don't want to be here anymore. And you're like, okay, I understand, but like you feel those. I don't
remember when they said it. I think it was like before the end of season 4, but there was a moment where they both said. Like, I think Dylan said it first. He's like, my whole life I tried to be part of this family. Yeah. And she was like, me too. Like, I wanted to be a part of this family. Yeah. And both of them weren't. Yeah. Both of them weren't a part of it. And like, that's another thing too, how they're connected to each other.
I think that's like how it kind of all ends up in that like finale when they end up like kissing and stuff, is like, it was like that night when they talk about like wanting to be a part of the family.
And they never can be.
Yeah. And yeah, for me, like the specific moment that I loved was when they actually like kiss. And that's at the end
at the tree
rock.
area.
Yeah,
and
the rock. That's when like
she's
about to get the transplant, and it's the first time that they ever kissed.
This man's gave her life.
Literally gave her a lung.
He is no joke. He's gonna be baby daddy for sure.
Yeah. And he calls her a warrior, and I think it was like such a. He's like, you're like wise beyond your years. Like, it was just an amazing.
It's interesting that you say that, because someone who like. He never had a good relationship with Norma ever. Yeah. Ever. Yeah. Like he barely called her mom. I think there was one time he called her mom.
One time by accident.
And for someone, he could have gone out with like really bad mommy issues, like really bad anger against women, like 100%. Hating women. And for him to stand there and be like, you're a warrior. Like he sees her beauty like that. Yeah. That's really big for him.
What they have is special really big. Now. And like I honestly am praying like that if the
Norman ever does anything, like I will like, yeah.
I have some theories, not knowing what the show's how it's gonna roll out, but I'm worried. I'm still worried.
Anyways,
guys.
So that's my number 2, Dylan and Emma.
Let's talk about your number 1.
Number 1 is Norma.
Norma.
That Norma thing.
That Norma.
So the first time I wrote this list, I wasn't sure if J-Lag had finished that last episode. Right. So I had to write the Norma thing because I wasn't sure if I was going to give it away to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that whole the murder episode 9 was pretty fucked up.
That changes.
I'm not going to lie.
That is like
I cried.
That's the big change for sure. It kind of still haunts me since I've watched it because that
is the perfect word for it. It really is haunting.
It puts you in full denial the way it happens.
So everything that happened, the way it all unfolded was really messed up because he gets out of the asylum, he comes home, and she changes, she switches. She goes from being like, shit, Norman's back, to like, Romero, get out of my house, and Norman's my son and he will never change and I'm gonna love him forever, and I got his back to the end.
And like, how dare you trying to get in between this?
Like, you were having everything, like you were gonna redesign your house, it still looks like a freaking haunted house right now. Like you had a beautiful life. This kid freaking comes back, and Norman, he wasted no time, legit no time. So I think in that 1 or 2 episodes the heater guy comes over, because their heat breaks down and he's like, by the way, your old heater is like toxic, you got to get rid of it like ASAP, like Rocky. And she was like, yeah, cool. And then she doesn't, and then one night they're sleeping,
it's when she has a huge breakup with
Romero,
and she writes him a letter and she was like, I'm sorry, I'll always love you, and she's willing to like give him back the ring, and then Norman swoops right back into her life and is like laying down beside her in the bed, and the very oddly incestuous way that relationship that they have, and he's basically like, let's run away together. Like, fucking weird when you hear it out loud.
Because
so
before
weird.
she said it, she's like, let's go somewhere else. She's like, Mom, I don't want to move, you're constantly making it. Now he's like, let's move, Mom,
let's go somewhere, whatever make you happy. And then he starts singing that like Hawaiian Pearly Shell song to her as she goes to sleep, which is one of the last things she hears. Because,
it was really creepy,
because then she falls asleep. He goes downstairs, turns on that broken ass furnace, and then closes all the vents and directs them straight to their room.
So in that moment, he didn't turn into his mom though. He was him.
That's the thing that has been very confusing to me in the season finale, because this happens in episode 9 of season 4. In episode 10, he's
him still. He's not her.
I'd like to know from any Twitter followers who are listening. Yeah,
like what did you guys take on that?
Was that Norman or was that Norma?
Look, as much as we say that he becomes Norma, I don't believe that's all what it is. No. I really truly believe that in him, he knows what he's doing, and he uses that as a coping mechanism. Yeah. He knows what he's doing. He's a really smart freaking person. Yeah. I think in that moment he was himself.
I think Norma rages out. The side of him, the schizo side of him that rages out and kills people, that's his Norma. That's his mother's side. But Norman is not innocent either. I think he's very well aware of what he does. I think he's extremely, like you said, intelligent and cunning and diabolical. So when he did that, in my opinion,
and think about he's doing it to kill his mom and himself. Yeah. So he knows that he's himself and she's the mom. Right. Like, he knows that dynamic. He was planning to kill both of them. Yeah. So he knows.
And then in the season finale, when he's at the funeral and everything, he gets mad at her. Like, he starts yelling in the funeral home. But it's almost like he's so much in denial that he kind of even tucks another part of him away. Like a Norman part of him away. So like the innocent Norman is still there, the person that we see on a normal level, but then there's the Norman who did this crazy thing, aka like kill his mom, like while she slept, and then there's the Norma who's the violent version of that too, and then there's the innocent one where we see him yelling and heartbroken that his mom is now dead. So I think there's more than just his mom in there, personally. But there's no name for her, and there's no name or him. That character that is in him. I think it's like through and through he's a psychopath, and that is why this is all based on a movie called Psycho.
And just because, obviously, that's my number one, because
it's the catalyst.
It was the moment, right? Like, it was the moment that I think we all were waiting for. Yeah. I'm glad that they waited till the end of 4 to do it.
In your opinion, do you feel like that was how you wanted to go down?
In my head, I didn't know really what I wanted. I think I just assumed that it would be like a gory death, but just like how you were saying, you're like, then how would he get away with it? Like there was no way he'd get away with her killing her like that, right? So it totally makes sense. And after watching it, I feel like at peace. Like I feel like that makes sense. I mean, she was very peaceful when she went to sleep, true. And like that was like her last beautiful moment. And
I think the one thing that was the most heartbreaking about that death was the fact that her and Romero never got to reconcile.
Yeah. So that was another part. Like Romero came like freaking crashing into this house. He booked that like the house was like smelling weird. Yeah. Freaking tries to save this woman one more time. Couldn't do it.
And the sad thing about
I didn't believe it. I was like, no, she's not dead. I'm like, she's not dead. It's still episode 9. There's still one more episode.
Yeah. I was like, it'll happen next episode. But I'm like,
true. It's gonna, like, how is she gonna die next episode?
Yeah. But then like when it happens, and in a way, I was telling you too, and be like, he saves Norman, and in a way, it's to his demise. You know, like he saves both of them, hoping that he can save both of them. Norman is the one that gets to get away with it, and Norma is the one that passes away. So it's a very heartbreaking moment, seeing him kind of like be completely crushed. Even in the season finale, when you see him pick up Norman from the hospital, you see him rage out. So he's like also pissed, like he's upset.
Well, as soon as he told the other police investigator, he's like, go interview the son. He did it. I'm like, oh shit, it's going down. That's it. He knows it's Norman. He's not gonna let this shit go.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So that being said, so that's the end of our top moments of seasons 1 through 4.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait to watch.
There were obviously so many other moments that I wish I could talk about, and I would love to hear if you feel like we missed any, or if there are any that were your favorites. Tweet us at recap_rewind on Twitter, and let us know what your favorite Bates moments were. We're gonna dive into season 5 now, and then
let us know about like how you guys want it.
Yeah,
or send us your questions.
Yeah, let's get through this final season
together. Because it will be our last final.
Oh gosh,
you're gonna go crazy.
I'm so scared.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
Oh my god, I'm already very upset. I'm already very upset of Norman. Yeah. So it's a great way to go into this final season.
Okay, I think that's it for Bates Motel first episode.
Check us out, subscribe, and like us. Bye.